was slapping in YouTube. So I did a little bit of work on this LEXUS. The old owner called it Lexi, but I think the car's a dude, so I'm calling it Black Beauty. Yeah. So, enough about the BS. I wanted to walk you through a few things that I did to this that will help you. I did the rear valve cover gasket. I also did the spark plugs, some coil pack action and stuff, but this really just all involves the rear valve cover gasket though. So I wanted to talk through the steps because a couple of the things got me, and I typed it in on YouTube, and nobody, they were like, here's how you take this apart, and then they just showed it off. They literally didn't even talk about it. So here's the steps I did. All right. So basically, first thing I did was remove the battery. It's pretty crucial. You don't want to arc anything. You don't want to arc any power. So you're just going to take 10 millis, get this guy out of here, pull it really out real quick. 10 milli again. Pull the battery out. All right. That's simple. Then you're going to do the air box. All right. There's 2 connectors on it and 1 hose. You got your mass airflow sensor up here, which I actually broke the clip. So this just pulls off now, but I'm going to leave it on so it doesn't. And I actually even broke this because it's super cold out here. Probably see my breath. But when I did the work on this, it was super cold. So I did my little fix there. You see that I went and got a brass fitting from the store for $2 and used some steel epoxy, and I fixed the sensor. But you're going to take that apart. You're going to pop the top of the box off. And then you get the bottom of the air box off. It's 310 millimeters, and you could pull the whole thing out. It just lifts up and out. There's a little intake from the air, comes from this side, so you kind of pull it off of there. That's all simple. Then you take the engine cover off, which is this guy here. All right, there's Allen bolts. I only had 2, but there's 3. So there should be another one there, but this car was missing it when I bought it. So that's real simple. All right. So what I did is I actually did the front first. I don't know. The guy that I watched the video on was like, why would I do the front when I could get stuff into the engine? And I said, well, I'm going to do the front and seal it up so I don't get stuff in the engine. So I did, I removed, let's see, 3 front, the crankcase, ventilation hose, the coil plugs, and 3 VCGs, which is funny. I don't remember what that is. But basically, you're just going to remove all the plugs from the top valve cover, all right? And I don't even know, valve cover gasket. Remove 3 front valve cover gasket. I don't know. So I can't remember that, but basically you're going to get all the stuff off the front valve cover. Then you take out the coil packs, 10 milli, and I removed and inspected the spark plugs, and I reinstalled them because they were brand new. And so then I removed the valve cover, and after I did that, see, I didn't put that remove valve cover. I think that's what... No, okay, the VCG, I can't even remember what that is. But this is before you remove the valve cover, so it must have not been that. And then the spark plugs, I did, so stuff doesn't fall in there. But so once you get the valve cover, so the next step would be remove the valve cover, actually. And those are all, I believe, 10 millimeter also. And then what you do is I just took the whole valve cover off, clean the gasket, clean the seal edge really well. And that's the most important part, and get it seated in there. And then you put some goo over the cam. I can't remember what side the cam's on. I think it's right here. Wait, yeah, let me see if it's over here. It's on this side. So you put a little goop on the end of the valve on all the corners, and then you reinstall the valve cover coil packs, make sure you put dielectric grease on it. That helps for your spark plugs. So then I started on this stuff, and this is why I'm talking to you about this. I completed the front now, okay? So that was simple. The hard stuff is the back. So you're gonna then take apart the intake boot rubber, okay? That's these two guys here. That's 10 millimeters here. And I didn't take this off. I just dismounted it all. I'll tell you. I removed the throttle body, okay? Those are 12 millimeters here. But before I did that, see, this is what I didn't write down, is it should be the throttle body support, all right? And so there's a support back here, way back on the back side. I think it's a 12 or a 14. You got to take that out first. It's really hard. I had to reach up from underneath it and get that off. I didn't even know there was one there. So I took that off of there, and it's funny that it says, oh yeah, there is a power steering bracket. That's why I'm saying power steering support. There's this support for the power steering also. I think that's a 10, all right? Then I removed the cruise control, which is this unit, but I unbolted it from here, and I left that throttle cable on there. So I just flopped it. I started flopping everything forward. Then I removed the throttle body. I did it wrong. I did the throttle body first, and then realized there was a bracket on it as I was trying to take it off. I couldn't get it back. There's one down here and two up here for this. It's real simple. All this stuff stayed on there, all the cables and everything. I didn't remove any throttle cables. I just flopped it all up forward here, okay? So once you get that off, then it gets even crazier. I did remove the cruise control. So then what I did was the plenum nuts and bolts and grounds and support bracket, okay? So the support bracket's the hardest thing. From the back of here, it's really, really hard to get to. It goes down to the motor. So what I found out is you got to get up underneath the car. You go up and underneath, and you go way, way up in here, and you'll see a bracket coming down. Loosen that bolt. Take the bolt out just a little bit. And then once you loosen all these plenum ones, or sorry, take the plenum bolts off the intake, then it can wiggle forward to where you could get your hand off to actually take that bolt off. I couldn't get back here with a wrench or anything. It's a 14. It's up top. It's about up here in the center on the top. On the back, though, I couldn't get to it. So by loosening the bottom of the bracket, it allowed it to let it float. That plenum could come forward. Then I got that bolt off, all right? So these guys here, those are studs, okay? This came off, but then I took that stud off. It's like a 7 millimeter. So that stud had to come out too to get the plenum off. Once I did that, the plenum got that engine brace off. I was able to pull the whole plenum forward, and then basically that's simple as cake there at that point. I didn't really, there's like wiring under here too that you have to remove. It's real simple, just a couple 10 millis, and you just flop everything forward. You don't need to, I didn't disconnect anything, honestly. So after you do that, then you get to the back valve cover gasket. It's real simple. You remove the rear valve cover gasket. And then you could see in my other video that I glued the valve cover gasket in after thoroughly cleaning the valve cover again. I glued it in to ensure, because it's hard when you get it back there, all the wiring's back there, to ensure that the valve cover gasket doesn't get pushed out of the way, because that's what the guy did before me. He thought he fixed it, and he pushed that valve cover gasket out of the way and then bolted it down, and it was still pouring oil. And when it's not on there correctly, it'll be pouring out like a rear main is out. It's really bad. So I got that sealed. You put that back together. You do the dabs on the corners where the cam are and stuff. You'll see where it needs to be dabbed. It's real self-explanatory. I cleaned all the surfaces with Scotch-Brite first too, and then wiped them down with some brake clean. But then you get I also did the rear spark plugs and stuff. Check them out. They were brand new also, because I knew the front ones were. So once you get that rear valve cover gasket back on, then you could get the coil packs and all that crap back together. And you do the reverse. When you put this back on, you got to not have any bolts in down here. Put your gasket in there, though. Set that guy into place, all right? And then what I did was I left the bottom, the engine one, really, really loose. I barely got the bolt in to where you could pull this forward again and bolt that on, get the top tight, and then bolt this down. And then I got the engine one tight on the back of the engine. Then I tighten that up. So then it's all simple. Then you go back, you just go backwards from what you did. Once you get this back on, you throw the throttle body back on, you get the cruise control bolted in, and get that bracket and all the power steering brackets on. Don't forget that this guy, when you take this guy off, it has grounds and everything on the side of it. There's not too many though. There's one on the back and one on the side. And there's a power steering brace here, and there's a power steering hose brace because the power steering hose goes back over there. So it's pretty self-explanatory. After that, you just get it all back together. But I didn't take it all apart like some people do, and it's running cherry. It's like a dream. So I hope this helps. The main thing that was hard to get to was this bracket, the support bracket from the back of this here. And I didn't know there was one on this guy back here, way in the back. So those two things are basically the key to getting this done, other than sealing the rear valve cover gasket. I bought the blue stuff, the expensive stuff. I actually brought it in the house and set something on top of it overnight so it would press that seal into place like something heavy. I put like some luggage or something on top of it, a case full of luggage, and I made sure it was just I went periodically to check it out to make sure it was sealed. That wasn't for the seal. That was only to hold the gasket in place as I maneuvered it back there so the cams and stuff didn't push it out of the way. You got to slide it up underneath some wiring, and then it just kind of hits the motor. So this thing is like cherry now. I got a killer deal on this, and I ended up giving it to my mom. So I'm stoked about it. But thank you guys for watching the video, and I'm going to get my ass to work now. So thanks for chewing the fat on this issue. Moto Meat out. It's chill.